Okay, what if I told you everything you've been taught about living a good life is actually completely backward? Well, buckle up because welcome to an explainer that is literally going to flip your daily routine upside down. Think about it. Every new year, or honestly, just every single Monday, we totally obsess over our goals. We tell ourselves, hey, if I just achieve this one thing, I'll finally be happy, right? But what if this absolutely exhausting, culturally mandated pursuit of happiness is exactly what's making you miserable? Look, let's just be honest about the world we're living in right now. Between the pandemic, crazy job shifts, and all this massive cultural polarization, we have been weathering a relentless storm. So many of us feel completely unmoored, kind of just desperately grasping for any shred of happiness just to feel normal again.
So that brings us to section 1, the happiness trap.
But here's the problem. The constant pressure to just be happy or always look on the bright side is a massive trap. Clinical psychology actually defines happiness as just a positive mental and emotional state. That means it lives entirely on the surface. You could be having a fantastic day, you get one bad phone call, and poof, that happiness just evaporates like a cloud.
Which leads us to section 2, meaning over happiness.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. When we feel totally adrift, science tells us we don't actually need a fleeting emotion. Happiness is basically a fragile balloon. Meaning, on the other hand, is a stabilizing anchor. It's this solid, unshakable foundation built by connecting and contributing to something way beyond yourself. And that is what keeps you intact no matter how chaotic your emotions get.
To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at one of the most extreme examples of human suffering. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, observed inmates in concentration camps who had literally lost everything. Those who, understandably, gave in to despair faded quickly. But those who held on to a profound sense of purpose, like the desperate hope of one day reuniting with their hidden children, were remarkably more resilient. Because they had a why, they were literally more apt to survive the unimaginable horrors of camp life. Meaning is that anchor when everything else is stripped away. All right, section 3, the belonging cure. But most people don't realize that the ultimate antidote to our modern loneliness and depression isn't just forcing positivity, it's belonging. But, and this is absolutely crucial, we have to make a big distinction here. We so often settle for what's called cheap groupishness, being accepted only because you align with a specific political tribe or a sports team. True belonging happens when you are valued for who you intrinsically are. It springs from genuine connection, not just conditional agreement. Let's move to section 4, reframing your daily grind. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but I'm literally just trying to get through my exhausting to-do list today. Well, consider author Emily Esfahani-Smith. After having kids, her life became completely consumed by tedious tasks, right? Mountains of laundry, washing endless baby bottles. Deeply frustrating stuff. But by pausing and identifying the underlying value, that this is exactly how she cares for her kids, the entire narrative shifts. Washing a dirty bottle transforms from a mind-numbing chore into a direct act of love. By simply reframing the task, you reconnect it to a much larger purpose. And here's the best part. Meaning doesn't require grand, world-changing gestures. Micro moments of meaning are literally everywhere, just hiding in plain sight. It could be a 2-minute, genuine conversation with a barista where you actually see each other as human beings. Or it could be as simple as building a specific, awesome playlist that you listen to on your commute just to elevate your spirit. You bake meaning right into your life through these tiny, intentional actions. Which brings us to section 5, the Deathbed Test. Let's try a kind of jarring but highly effective pattern interrupt to instantly clarify what actually matters to you. Psychologists call it the Deathbed Test. Imagine if you were sitting on your deathbed today, looking back at your life. What would you see? Would you feel satisfied that you lived out your core values? Or would you feel a quiet, heavy despair over all the shallow things you chased? Regret is a painful emotion for sure, but it's an incredible compass because it tells you exactly what you actually want your life to be about. And there is real hard science backing this up. At Sloan Kettering in New York, a psychiatrist developed meaning-centered psychotherapy, specifically for patients battling terminal cancer. This therapy forces patients to directly confront the reality that their time is limited and asks them how they can find meaning in the time they have left. The astonishing result? This intervention actively increases their sense of meaning and peace, right in the face of death. Confronting our own mortality literally forces us to cut out the noise and focus on what truly matters. All right, our final section, section 6, finding your anchor. So how do we actually use all of this to stabilize ourselves when the future feels completely out of our control? Well, you build your foundation today with 3 super practical steps. First, reframe your goals around your values. So don't just say, I need to text my friends faster. Say, I want to foster deeper connections. Second, actively create spaces for genuine conversations to cultivate that true belonging we talked about. And third, mentally reconnect those tedious daily tasks to your larger purpose. Find the love hidden right there in the chore.
And that brings us to our final takeaway for this explainer: stop chasing happiness. Honestly, it is an exhausting treadmill that relies entirely on everything going perfectly in your day. Just let it go. Instead, focus your energy on stepping beyond yourself to connect with and contribute to something bigger. Build an unshakable foundation of meaning. Because when the storms of life inevitably hit, it's not going to be a fleeting moment of happiness that saves you. It will be the deep, enduring meaning you've intentionally chosen to build. So, what is one chore you can transform into an act of meaning today?